was established in 2013. And the background for the Women Leaders Forum is that the Coral Triangle Initiative was initially established in 2009 by government and NGOs, but it was perceived a little bit as a top-down initiative, and there was need to have more of an inclusive approach at some stage, particularly engaging women and also more broadly now youth and other ethnic groups in the Coral Triangle Initiative. And so the Women Leaders Forum was also really about engaging those groups in the Coral Triangle Initiative. And we established initially a great group of 15 women leaders from the Coral Triangle countries, including Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, and Timor-Leste. And that group was instrumental to really roll out this Women Leaders Forum. And it started off as an informal group. And I think that was also one of the reasons why it worked so well. It was not a very formal bureaucratic structure, but it started off very informal with the women leaders from the 6 countries. And CTC was in the position at the time with USAID support and USDOI as partner to support the Women Leaders Forum in terms of recognition of grassroots level women leaders who were instrumental in rolling out the marine conservation programs in their villages, but also to particularly recognize them at a regional forum and support them with small grants moving forward. And there were several capacity building priorities identified during the process. And yeah, I will follow the PowerPoint now at this stage. So thanks. So again, as I said, the history of the Women Leaders Forum is really in the context of the Coral Triangle Initiative for coral reefs, fisheries, and food security that was established in 2009. At the time, there were also 6 partners involved, and CTC became a partner also in a bit later, as we were established in 2010. Next, please. So the next slide shows you actually the 15 women leaders who were involved with the establishment of this group. And during the launch in 2014 in Manado, the 6 women were identified from the 6 countries. And it was a great start of this forum, this network. And to date, we have now more than 200 women engaged in this forum. Next, please. So again, the goal of the peer learning network for women is really to sustain their roles in marine resources of the Coral Triangle region, and also to build a platform where they can share their lessons learned among women from the region. Next, please. So very much early on, we focused on capacity building for the Women Leaders Forum. It was very much technical training combined with leadership and mentor training. And we also organized specific small grants so they could actually apply their leadership and mentor skills in small grants in each of their respective countries. Learning exchanges were also very much at the forefront to share lessons learned and best practices, because the issues women face in the region are quite similar when it comes to overfishing or habitat destruction or access to information. All kinds of topics came to the surface that were very well addressed in our learning exchanges over the years. And furthermore, it was also very important to further galvanize all these efforts in a gender equality social inclusion policy for CTI-CFF, building upon our experiences, best practices in the region. Next, please. So a few years ago, we set up an intergenerational leadership learning program where we actually combined senior women leaders, either from government or NGOs, with junior women leaders, emerging leaders. And for each country, we set up a team and they received leadership training and a small grant that they could implement over a period of 1 year to apply their leadership mentor skills in practice. And the projects were quite a success and really led to more impact in the field. Next, please. Here are the actually the teams from each of the countries, and until now they play still an instrumental role for the Women Leaders Forum, but also in conservation. And just to recognize these teams at the regional level also boosted their confidence and also their rapport within their institution and across their countries and in the region. Next, please. So just to give you an example of the conservation challenge projects, for example, in Indonesia, the couple worked in the Banda Islands, which is one of the highly marine diverse areas in the deep sea in eastern Indonesia. And one of the issues there was actually coral mining for building materials. In such a remote area, building materials is a key challenge, and they actually organized an alternative building material in the form of bamboo that is still used today in the islands. In the meantime, they also managed to raise more funds for the project and also apply their skills to really galvanize support for this project from the government and the local communities. So that is just an example of how the teams actually worked on the ground in their respective countries. In Malaysia, it was about protection of the green turtle nesting beaches. In the Philippines, it was an awareness program around marine conservation. Next, please. And for example, in Papua New Guinea, it was a very interesting approach for community-based fish aggregation devices program, where they engaged the local communities in setting up those aggregation devices for sustainable fisheries. And Solomon Islands, we supported the team supported a local women group on sustainable financing. And in Timor-Leste, they raised a lot of awareness around plastic pollution in Atauro Island. And this women group was also very active in inspiring other islands to follow suit in how they raised awareness and how they actually collected the waste and turned that into products for the emerging tourism market in Timor-Leste. So with a very small grant ranging from $5,000 to $10,000, the women could really do a lot of work over a year. And again, it was about engaging more communities, more support, and also applying their leadership skills in their effort. Next, please. So furthermore, we facilitated regional and national learning exchanges within each country. There are actually existing women leaders networks in each of the CT6 countries. And we also ensured that we connected the regional Women Leaders Forum with those national networks, and also make sure there was a lot of synergy and exchange in each of the countries. And the exchanges, again, the themes were around marine conservation training, snorkeling skills to financing and business skill development as well. Next, please. So when we look also, for example, in Indonesia, we more and more work towards an integrated approach of establishing marine protected and conserved areas by also empowering and building resilient coastal communities in those areas. And again, that support is also going to, for example, strengthening traditional marine management practices in the Banda Islands, or engaging the women in the blue swimming crab fisheries in Lampung. So they are also more involved in decision making and sustainable practices in these fisheries. And in Nusa Penida, Marine Protected Area, one of the sites in the Coral Triangle MPA system, we support women in the processing of seaweed, particularly products that can be sold to the tourism market in Bali. And so these are some of the examples in how we engage local communities and with a focus on women in building more resilient coastal communities in Indonesia. Next, please. Now, from also on site, and particularly also during COVID, when there was nothing we could do much on the ground, we started to focus also on peer learning webinars. For example, with the Nature Conservancy, we developed the Women Leaders Protecting the Coral Triangles Threatened Biodiversity and Endangered Species series, and also on area protection towards the 30 by 30 goal. Again, highlighting women in the CT6 countries doing innovative research, conservation work, and campaigns in that context. Also, Coral Triangle Day was also a great way to highlight the role of women in the blue economy development moving forward. Next, please. And then peer learning, we also really focused on documentation, developing collaterals. They are also so useful. For example, we have videos of women in fisheries and marine conservation learning exchange in Indonesia. And one of the highlights is actually that we took the women to see coral reefs for the first time in their lives. They work along the coast, but they've never seen actually coral reef themselves, and taught them the basic snorkeling skills. And we worked very closely with the Sofia TS project funded by USAID that focused on women, especially in fisheries value chains. And so, again, among the partners, there was also a lot of collaboration in the Coral Triangle Initiative to really focus on women empowerment and advancing the programs in the Coral Triangle. Next, please. So I think it's also key to note that it's very important, I think, for our networks to link beyond the Coral Triangle. So we also linked with women empowerment initiatives with the Pacific Forum. There was a series of workshops that we facilitated together on peace and security in the Coral Triangle, bridging civil, military, and state boundaries to tackle maritime and environmental crimes, and also gender in civil, military, climate security, and disaster response, co-creating gender transformative approaches amid the global climate crisis. And I think that for us was also a great learning experience in how women and gender issues in the broader context play out when it comes to climate change, peace, and security, as right now the climate change is now also considered a maritime security risk by several nations in the Asia Pacific. Next, please. So advancing at the CTI-CFF policy level, several partners really got together, particularly also TNC and USAID, Sofia TS program, and others, to institutionalize the GESI approach in the Coral Triangle Initiative. And that led to a GESI policy, which is about achieving all women, men, youth, disabled people, and also groups in the Coral Triangle areas, that they benefit from the improved marine, coastal, and small island ecosystems. And this GESI policy has been adopted by all CT6 countries at the senior officials meeting and the ministerial level. So coming from the Women Leaders Forum from an informal group about 10 years ago, and with a lot of national, regional activities, but also site-based support, really led towards an institutional effort to incorporate this inclusive approach at the policy level for CTI CFF. Next, please. So this is just to show you how we mainstream Jesse in the CTI CTF at the project level, program, but also country level and strategic level. And it's very important that this application implementation at those four levels happen simultaneously. Again, the regional secretary plays a key role, and all the partners and the national coordinating committees within the CTC IFF, FF, and the working groups. Next, please. If you like to have access to the Jesse policy and the implementing guidelines, these are the codes for downloading them. So if you let us know if you want to have a PDF file, we can send it to you as well. Next, please. And in conclusion, some of the lessons learned and recommendations. I really like this chart, which is from the Nature Conservancy. It's about standards and good practices for operating networks. And we really followed this for the Women Leaders Forum. And there are 7 steps actually distinguished in this diagram. So the key is actually to have a clear strategic purpose for successful learning networks, effective leadership, committed membership, well-designed and executed activities, measurements and adaptive management, documenting lessons learned, and adequate resources. And I think we ticked all the boxes for the Women Leaders Forum to be successful, as we had quite some adequate resources from the start, from USAID, and also clear strategic purpose within the CTI context. And having committed membership, in our case, the 15 women leaders from the CT6 countries, really helped propel this initiative forward. And having dedicated partners like CTC and others could continue to support this initiative over the years. And we developed those activities very much in collaboration with the 6 countries through the mechanisms of CTI. And so I think it's one of those frameworks that I love to share with anyone who wants to set up a successful learning network, and documenting our lessons learned. So we have a lot of materials, a lot of videos and teaching materials we can share. And I think we hope to learn also more from WCS, from Myra and others, and how we can continue to learn about strengthening networks, and in our case, the women in particular. Next, please. So lessons learned, these are the last 2 slides coming up. Just to summarize, in 2014, 15 women leaders came together and really were committed to roll out the Women Leaders Forum across the region. And by 2019, we had already more than 200 members linking up to this Women Leaders Forum. I think the training and learning activities, so very practical, tangible activities for women who could engage in this, was very important. We also looked at institutionalizing the training, and we set up a participatory workshop with women leaders from the 6 countries to develop a leadership course that they further institutionalize in each of their countries. So it's also about localizing capacity building, decentralizing that effort to each of the countries. The 12 small grants, I can only recommend that. It makes it all very tangible on the ground work from the regional, national to the local level, applying leadership skills in the field, and then the development of the leadership competency model. And this was further institutionalized in each of the countries. Open partner support. So I think it's very important to be open and connect with other partners who are interested to support or engage and develop programs together. And again, around 200 women leaders stay engaged now in this program. Next, please. So recommendations for us ahead in the Coral Triangle. So we really look at further operationalizing the GESI policy in the Coral Triangle countries. And from the women, we're now moving more towards engaging youth, particularly emerging leaders, but also students who just started their studies, to engage them in, for example, internship programs at marine protected areas across the region, indigenous communities and other marginalized groups, particularly also on the side that we do more deliberate engagement with them in the CTI context. And furthermore, we're looking forward to really connect to global leadership and other women networks. So I'm thrilled that Myra will share her lessons learned from their efforts to empower women globally and in the region for marine conservation and sustainable livelihoods. And again, CTC and also the Solomon Islands, we're now co-chairing it, but I'd like to thank everyone who's involved in making this Women Leaders Forum network very much a success. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share, and look forward to your questions or comments. Thank you.